gives you an opportunity to visit and revisit a moment from different perspectives and to discover different truths. I've always been interested in aspects of the truth.
Looking at your career, the impression is that you never compromised. Do you feel that too?
Absolutely, and I'm really proud of it. And it's like, I mean, in a somewhat perverse way. That's the thing I'm most proud of. It's like, I don't want to say it's more important than the art, but it's way up there. It's really important. And just because compromising in a bad way, there's also a good compromise, but compromising in a bad way means, that you're killing your art, you're killing your freedom, your independence, your humanity. If you're giving into either political pressure or pressure from Hollywood, commercial pressure, in order to have a more comfortable life.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to get to make a film. It gets less distribution. It gets, it travels less because, I don't compromise with bureaucrats, but also with film festivals and film funds, who also have their own little set of rules.
Good People is your first feature documentary and it's entirely made of talking heads. Why?
I chose this approach because I wanted to be faithful to the truth. And I have seen documentaries that, in trying to be interesting, in trying to be expressionistic, in trying to express the filmmaker, in trying to show the filmmaker behind the film, I believe end up affecting our relationship to the truth.
Yes.
I've seen films with a lot of swelling music and beautiful B-rolls and archival footage and voiceover, etc., etc. And of course, everything is allowed in art. Whatever road you want to take you to a beautiful work of art is fine. But if at the same time you're claiming that pompously that you're representing the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, I would take exception with sometimes with the approach that some films take. I have also seen sometimes lack of talent, hiding behind important subject matter. So I felt that what we should do in this particular film is like strip it of all extra layers and try to be as austere and minimalistic and conceptual, if you wish, as ascetic as possible, which doesn't mean that you don't put a lot of work in it. It's just that work is very, it's fine work, it's filigree work, it's a lot of specific work, particularly in the editing.
Yes.
But also the decision making is work. Deciding to go minimal, deciding to lean on the word and on the expression of the person you're talking about is as important as doing a beautiful sunset or beautiful music.
Yes.
So that was the thinking behind the film. Also, the subject matter on this particular film. It's like we weren't just talking about a tragedy. What we wanted to do was we wanted to hear the participants, the survivors, the heroes, to hear about their moments facing death, dealing with a tragedy, what they thought, what they felt, how they remember it. And in doing that, it was only logical to just let them talk.
Bikini Moon was a film critical of the documentary form as well.
Absolutely, it absolutely did. I think media, including documentary filmmaking, is sometimes ruthless in their quest, and especially when there's an interchange, when there's an exchange and interchange and interface with the subject. And it's impossible not to have this exchange with the subject. So you're influencing what you're recording at the same time, and at least you need to be aware of that. You need to acknowledge it if you really insist on telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. There was actually I've always been interested in aspects of the truth in my work, but there was a period where I spent a chunk of time thinking about it and working on it. I wrote an essay about it. I did Bikini Moon. Before that, I did Mothers, a film where half of the film is a documentary, an old-fashioned documentary, and the other half, or the other 2/3, are 2 bits of drama, fiction with actors, which have nothing to do with the documentary portion. They're just in the same film because it felt like they wanted to be together, but they're not about the same thing or similar events. So that's something I've always tried to explore, to think about, to work with. But this is the first time that I'm doing like straightforward documentary.
Why most of your films feature multiple threads?
It's more interesting. It's more complex. It gives you an opportunity to visit and revisit a moment from different perspectives, and to discover different angles and different emotions and different truths. Just telling one linear story is a little boring. And besides, in this particular case, what was interesting was to try to put together the big mosaic, the big picture as a mosaic of a lot of individual experiences, and they all meet at this moment, which is terrifying. I think the entire thing lasted. It wasn't very long.
Also, a recurring aspect is that of cyclicity and repetition.
You know, I never go specifically for it.
Okay.
It sort of comes out of the material. In Before the Rain, it came from the material, came out of the material at an early stage when I was constructing the story. So while it was still a synopsis, here it came out of the process later in the process when you sort of start on a sort of a happy moment and go through a tragedy and end up with something that's not necessarily happy, but there's a kernel of light. There's like a little grain of hope.
In your more recent films, the element of humor became more persistent. Why?
That's very true. It happened later. It sort of grew out of particular moments. I had those moments in Dust, in Mothers, even a little bit in Before the Rain, and I got more and more interested in the absurdity of certain situations, if not the human fate.
Of course.
So Kaymak is a black comedy, an absurdist comedy, and so is this new film. It's a little different from Kaymak. It's called Sister, Brother, manhole cover.
Is it a play on Jarmusch's film?
No,
another
I mean it's in the title. The title is similar, but
Yeah,
it's
okay.
it's about something different. It's like the tagline is, "It's all the family you'll ever need."
How do you see the Macedonian cinema scene today?
They're talented people. There's, I think the fresh wind that before the rain and dust brought to Macedonia finally are paying off with the generation that grew up with those people. And I'm not only talking about young directors, but also, technicians and cinematographers and editors and film composers. And I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to give a lot of these people their first opportunities, their first jobs. That's as far as the creative and the filmmaking aspect of film in Macedonia goes. The other side, the institutional aspect of filmmaking has been Macedonian cinema has been in real trouble over the last several years because there was rampant corruption. Truly incompetent people were robbing the film industry of opportunity, of money, and they were doing it with a big help from upstairs, from politicians, going all the way up to the prime minister. And as you probably know, I had an issue with that, which then eventually blew up into an international scandal. Eventually, I won 2 court cases, and there was a confirmation of my whistleblowing about corruption in the film industry. But that had hurt the film industry for a while. I believe that now we're on the right track. I believe that the new leadership in the film agency there, for the first time ever, is being led by real filmmakers. So I'm cautiously hopeful.
You were at Sarajevo Film Festival during the first edition. Can you tell more about that?
Yes, because the city was still under siege and the war was going on.
Exactly.
So at the moment when we got in, they were not shooting, but the war was still going on and the guns were all up in the mountains. So we took an armored UN vehicle from the coast. Took us 14 hours to come into the city and showed before the rain to a city under siege, and it was an almost religious experience.